When most people hear the word karma, they imagine a cosmic judge, a force that rewards the good and punishes the bad. Like some invisible policeman keeping track of every action, ready to deliver justice. But that picture is a misunderstanding. It is not what the ancient teachers meant, and it is not what Alan Watts meant. Karma is not a moral bookkeeping system. It is not the hand of destiny punishing mistakes or rewarding virtue. It is something far more simple and far more unsettling. Karma is cause and effect, as direct as a seed becoming a tree, as obvious as a shadow following a body. It is not imposed from outside. It is woven into the very fabric of what we are. To hear this truth clearly is to feel a shift inside, because suddenly karma is no longer something done to you. It is something you are always doing. And in that realization, the mystery begins, the myth of punishment and reward. For centuries, people have imagined karma as a system of cosmic justice. Do good, and life will eventually reward you. Do harm, and life will eventually punish you. It sounds simple. It sounds reassuring. It gives the frightened human mind a sense of order, a sense of safety. But look more closely. This picture of karma is not about truth. It is about comfort. It is the attempt of the human ego to control the uncontrollable, to believe that if one follows the rules, one will be spared the chaos of existence. Alan Watts often pointed out that this moralistic vision of karma is just another projection. We imagine the universe as a parent. We imagine the cosmos as a courtroom. And we comfort ourselves with the idea that justice will prevail. But the truth is far stranger. Consider the world as it is. Cruel people sometimes thrive. Kind people sometimes suffer. Fortunes rise and fall with no regard for virtue. The surface of life looks unfair, chaotic, without pattern. The moralistic view of karma cannot explain this. It fails because it is built on the false assumption that life must reward or punish according to our human sense of fairness. But life is not bound to human fairness. Life is only bound to itself. This is why Watts stripped away the mythology. He said, karma is not moral retribution. It is simply the unfolding of consequences. When fire touches skin, it burns. When a seed is planted, it grows. When a word is spoken, it echoes. No judge, no jury, no divine scorekeeper, only the natural continuation of what has already begun. And here lies the discomfort. If karma is not punishment, then there is no escape from it. There is no negotiation, no bargaining, no way to bribe the universe with good deeds to cancel out the bad. There is only the raw truth that everything one does ripples outward, and the ripples eventually return. This is why the popular image of karma is so seductive. It lets us hope for justice, instead of facing the reality of consequence. But Watts invites us to let go of that illusion, to step into the clarity that karma is not justice, but inevitability. Karma as cause and effect. When Alan Watts spoke of karma, he often stripped it of all mystical decoration. He returned it to its simplest form, the law of cause and effect. Every action has a consequence. Every word, every gesture, every thought sets something in motion. Like a stone dropped into a still pond, the ripples move outward and eventually they return. This is not punishment. It is not a system of cosmic morality. It is continuity, the continuation of movement, the unfolding of a chain that was set in motion the moment an action occurred. When someone acts with anger, anger is what they generate in the world. And anger does not remain confined to one place. It spreads, it echoes, it returns. When someone acts with kindness, the same principle unfolds. The energy released into the world does not vanish. It finds its way back, often in forms that cannot be predicted, but always connected. Think of it as planting seeds. The seed does not ask whether the gardener was virtuous. It does not calculate merit or morality. It simply grows according to its nature. Plant an apple seed, and an apple tree appears. Plant a thorn, and a thorn bush will grow. This is karma in its most direct and unromantic sense. And yet, in its simplicity, it is profound, because it shows us that we are never separate from the consequences of what we do. We cannot throw a stone without being part of the ripples. We cannot speak a word without hearing its echo. Even the smallest gesture, unnoticed by the world, bends reality in some subtle way. Watts often reminded his listeners that karma is not about fate. It is not about being trapped in a cycle of punishment. It is about recognizing that every moment is alive with cause and effect. Every moment is both the result of what came before and the seed of what will come after. This recognition can be unsettling. It removes the comfort of believing that someone else is in charge. It removes the fantasy that good deeds are investments for future rewards, but it also gives something greater. It gives us the clarity to see that life is an ongoing dance of actions and consequences. A dance in which we are not spectators, but participants. To understand karma in this way is to stand face to face with responsibility. Not responsibility as a burden, but responsibility as reality. To know that what we set in motion is what the universe continues to carry. The web of interconnection. To see karma only as personal cause and effect is still too narrow. Alan Watts often reminded his listeners that no action belongs to an isolated self, because the self, as we imagine it, is not separate from the world. Every word spoken, every gesture made, every choice taken ripples outward into the lives of others. It alters the invisible web of relationships that connects all beings. What is called karma is not simply my action producing my result. It is the entire fabric of existence shifting in response to what moves through it. Imagine a spider's web stretched across a frame. Touch one strand, and the whole web vibrates. No single thread can move without affecting the rest. This is the deeper truth of karma. It is not personal bookkeeping, it is the recognition that everything is bound together in a field of consequence. When someone acts out of fear, that fear spreads into the network of human life. It infects conversations, shapes decisions, influences futures. When someone acts with compassion, that too circulates. It softens hearts, inspires trust, invites kindness in return. But here lies the paradox. The ego wants to claim ownership. It says, this was my action, my consequence, my karma. Yet Watts pointed to the illusion of that separation. The I, who claims to be in control, is itself a movement within the larger pattern. The body, the mind, the personality, all are products of countless influences, culture, ancestry, language, chance. Where does one truly find the boundary between self and other? Karma reveals the illusion of isolation. It shows that no deed is private, no thought sealed off, no life disconnected. What we do is done through us, but not by us alone. We are strands in the web, moved as we move others. This recognition can dissolve the weight of self-importance. It can also dissolve the despair of loneliness. Because to understand karma as interconnection is to realize that nothing we do is meaningless. Every movement is part of the whole. Every gesture resonates across the vast field of being. Watts suggested that this is both humbling and liberating. Humbling because it shatters the fantasy of control. Liberating because it reveals that we were never separate, never isolated, never abandoned. The web holds us, even as we shape it, and this too is karma. Freedom from the fear of karma. Once karma is seen clearly, the old fear begins to dissolve. The fear that life is a cosmic courtroom, the fear that unseen forces are waiting to punish every mistake. That fear belongs to misunderstanding, not to reality. Alan Watts often reminded his listeners that karma is not a debt to be repaid. It is not a punishment hanging over one's head. It is simply the continuity of what has already been set in motion. There is no celestial accountant, no scale weighing good against bad, only the natural unfolding of cause and effect. But notice how the mind resists this. The ego clings to the idea of cosmic justice because it gives a sense of control. If I behave well, I will be safe. If I avoid mistakes, I will avoid suffering. Yet life does not follow these bargains. Good people suffer. The innocent are not spared. And still, cause and effect continue. Freedom begins when one sees that karma is not a system of rewards or punishments. It is the simple mirror of reality. Like gravity, it does not judge. Like fire, it does not discriminate. Touch it, and it burns. Release it, and it falls. Live it, and it echoes. This realization is liberating because it removes the anxiety of moral bookkeeping. It ends the exhausting attempt to manipulate the universe into delivering comfort. Instead, it returns us to responsibility, not responsibility as fear, but as clarity. To see that what one does is what one becomes, that what one releases into the world will return, not because of judgment, but because of continuity. And here lies the true freedom. When karma is understood as cause and effect, the obsession with controlling outcomes fades. One no longer acts out of fear of punishment or hope of reward. One acts with awareness, with presence, with authenticity. Watts suggested that this shift transforms life from a game of manipulation into a dance of participation. There is no longer the pressure to be good enough for some cosmic judge. There is only the quiet understanding that actions shape reality, and reality reflects them back. The fear of karma dissolves. What remains is clarity. What remains is freedom. Karma, alive in the present moment. The final and most profound insight into karma is that it is not about the past. It is not a record of what has been done, stored away for future judgment. It is alive. It is now. Alan Watts would remind his listeners that karma is not some distant consequence waiting to arrive. It is the present moment itself. The way you sit right now, the thoughts moving through the mind, the tone of your breath, these are karma. They are the living continuation of everything that has unfolded before, converging in this very instant. When one speaks harshly, karma is not simply the reaction that comes later. It is the tension that arises immediately in the body. It is the way the voice changes, the way the heart tightens, the way the atmosphere in the room shifts. Karma is not delayed, it is immediate. This changes everything because it reveals that we are not trapped in a cycle of waiting for consequences. We are already living them. The present is the fruit of the past, and the present is also the seed of the future, both at once. Think of a tree. The fruit, hanging on its branches, is the result of seasons long gone. And within that fruit, seeds are forming, preparing the shape of seasons yet to come. The tree is both consequence and cause. So too is every human being. When this is seen, karma is no longer a heavy burden carried from behind. It is not a shadow chasing us through time. It is the fabric of each moment, arising fresh, alive, unavoidable. Watts would often smile at the irony. People spend their lives worrying about the future, fearing the punishment of past mistakes. But the true weight of karma is always here. Not as punishment, not as reward, but as presence. And here lies the doorway to transformation. Because if karma is alive in the present, then freedom is also alive in the present. One cannot rewrite the past, but one can act differently now. One can plant new seeds, breathe new words, release new ripples into the web of life. Karma is not a sentence handed down from above. It is the invitation of each moment, the reminder that life is not elsewhere. It is here, it is now, the mirror of karma. Karma, as Alan Watts revealed, is not about punishment, not about reward, not about a cosmic judge keeping score. It is the simple unfolding of cause and effect, the shadow following the body, the echo returning to its source. To see karma in this way is to step beyond superstition. It is to recognize that life is not a courtroom, but a mirror. Every gesture reflects. Every thought resonates. Every choice becomes the environment in which we live. This truth is uncomfortable because it removes the safety net of bargains and negotiations. There is no cosmic contract ensuring that virtue will be rewarded or that cruelty will be punished. There is only the reality that actions continue, that consequences unfold, that ripples return. The universe does not play favorites. It does not wait for tomorrow to reveal karma. It reveals it in the texture of every present moment. And yet, what at first feels unsettling becomes liberating. Because if karma is alive now, then freedom is alive now. One does not have to carry the past as a burden. One only has to see the present clearly and respond with awareness. Each moment is the chance to plant a new seed. Each moment is both fruit and seed at once. Watts often spoke with a kind of playful seriousness. He knew that to grasp karma is not to live in fear, but to live in clarity. To understand that the dance of cause and effect is not something happening to us, but something happening as us. We are not outside the flow of karma. We are its movement, its expression, its unfolding. And in this recognition, something shifts, the fear dissolves. The illusion of separation thins. What remains is a quiet sense of belonging, a quiet sense of responsibility, and a quiet sense of freedom. So when we hear the word karma, let us not reduce it to superstition. Let us see it for what it truly is: the web of interconnection, the continuity of action, the mirror that never lies. Karma is not waiting. Karma is not elsewhere. Karma is here. It is this breath, this word, this silence. And in this silence, the truth is clear. We are not judged by karma. We are revealed by it.